suppose we'll meet any wild animals?
We might. Animals that eat straw? Some, but mostly lions and tigers and bears.
I am here today to tell you about possibly one of the worst nights of my entire life. It all started when me and my friends George and Aidan decided to spend a night in the woods for some bizarre reason. We weren't to bring any tents, just a sleeping bag and a pillow. After a while planning, we eventually left and walked for about 15 miles in 29 degrees Celsius. And Aidan, being the dumbass that he is, didn't bring enough water, so we had to share. But Aidan suffering from dehydration was the least of our worries. The reason why we didn't bring a tent is because we were trying to avoid being spotted by anyone. Because if we were seen, there would probably be some problems. We found a nice camping spot and cleared out all the leaves in the air and laid out our sleeping bags and pillows. George went for a small scout around to check if we were completely covered. And it turned out we were right next to a public footpath. But luckily it seemed quite barren, and as we'd already set up camp we didn't particularly want to move again. Distracted by the amount of mosquitoes and other bugs that were swarming us, we'd basically forgotten about the risk of humans. And that's when we saw someone walking along the footpath, so we all just lay down and waited. Fortunately they didn't see us. As the sun had nearly set, I saw a couple of badgers nearby, and for some reason the thought of other mammals being nearby kind of terrified the three of us. But these badgers turned out to be the last thing that we should be afraid of. We soon discovered that the badgers weren't the only things sharing the forest with us. We knew this already, but there were going to be a lot of animals in there. But what we didn't expect was a deer to appear 20 meters away from us. I heard rustling nearby, and I saw the figure of a deer come out from behind a tree. I alerted George and Aidan and told them it was there. So we all looked at it, and it looked back at us. We held eye contact with it for about 20 seconds. Then it made a loud screeching noise and ran off in the other direction. The screech startled us, but we clearly weren't as scared as the deer was. It continued to make the screeching noise, but gradually got quieter as it grew distant from us. But this noise was definitely not the most terrifying thing we would hear that night. The sun had completely set, and we couldn't see anything, and nothing had happened for about 4 hours. Then at about 2 AM, when we were all on the brink of sleep, George shook me and Aidan awake, as he just heard the most horrifying noise I probably will ever hear in my life. It sounded like a manifestation of a demon, dinosaur, zombie, screeching, barely 50 meters away from us. Here's some footage that George captured of the event. We had no idea what it was, but we were all shaking in fear. Now there's nothing in the British woodland that can actually harm a human, but we didn't want to stick around to find out. We didn't have the choice but to stay there, as we had nowhere else to go, because home was about 20 miles away. And if things weren't bad enough, George said he heard a dog, likely owned by a farmer who might own the land. This terrified us even more, but it turned out that he probably just imagined it. Because if the farmer was coming down to check out what the noise was, he might stumble across us and we would be in big trouble. After about half an hour of intense waiting, the screeching stopped. George concluded that it was a red deer, possibly a mating call, but it was also the possibility that it was a warning call. It's safe to say we didn't get any more sleep after that. And at about 5 AM the sun rose and we decided to make our way back home. I cannot explain to you the fear that we went through, the traumatic events we had experienced. But the effort wasn't over yet, we still got to make it back home. Aidan's dehydration and the fact that all our bones were aching from the walk the previous day, this made it quite difficult. As we were finding the exit to the woods, we heard the screeching again. It was over quickly, but we didn't want to stick around to find out what it was. After about 5 hours of walking, we eventually made it back home, and all three of us collapsed on the sofa and fell asleep. We would definitely not be doing that again in a hurry. After doing some research, George found out that it was in fact an alarm for other deers to let them know there was danger in the area. we decided the most likely conclusion is that we were the danger. And if we weren't the danger, I don't want to know what was. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Lions?
And tigers? And bears.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh, my.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh, my.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh, my.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh, my.